And welcome back to my Sandersville Railroad, everyone. I was working on the railroad today, and I looked at my watch and saw that it was the 21st of December. It's been 1 year since I started this project. Been videoing for about the past 3 months. I felt it was time that we did a layout update or a layout tour of the My Sandersville Railroad. Going to insert a few pictures here just to kind of show you the progress over the past 12 months. So what we'll do now is I'll just give you a walkthrough of how the My Sandersville Railroad looks and operates. All right, this first section here is my staging yard. It's got 2 tracks in it. It's 8 foot long. This represents Tunnel, Georgia, where the real Sandersville Railroad has its interchange with the Norfolk Southern. This bridge is supposed to represent that bridge that goes over the tracks in downtown Tunnel. Then this first industry that we serve, Hilliard, it's part of what I call the warehouse district. It's fictitious. It is not served by the Sandersville Railroad, but on the My Sandersville Railroad, it receives 2 boxcars that are loaded with parts and equipment and that kind of thing to support a manufacturing facility. Then over here, we've got BCS, which is a chemical company. It's not set up like this. However, it fit into that space. It gave me a nice opportunity to have a switchback, which put in a lot of operating interest. That particular facility can take 1 large or long tank car or 2 short ones. Then here in the front, I've got a section that if you've watched any of my videos, it's been several different things over the past year. It currently represents Burgess Pigment Company. And what we have here is we have an area where we bring in 2 cars that are empty. They're underneath the shed there. They're filled with powdered kaolin. And then we have a track back there that I keep the additional empties that you do the switch out at Burgess. And then we have the 3rd track there that kind of is used as a storage for engines, that kind of thing, which allows for getting them out of the way while you're operating. Then over here in the back corner, we have BH Transfer. This is a industry that is served by the Sandersville Railroad. It's a transload facility. It can hold up to 4 cars, but it makes it easier to switch when I just use 3 just because of the space I have. So these industries are all on a 6-foot section, which allows me to have 4 industries there. Then this is the start of the original 22-foot long stretch that we have. I wanted to get Tybee Street in there. That's an actual street that the Sandersville Railroad does do street operating on, and it crosses Hines. This is also the area that isn't finished because it has to have the people and the houses and the cars for my granddaughters to play in. They come down here and play in this area while I run trains. Back here, and this 22-foot section is only 12 inches wide. It's on top of some closet doors that I had replaced in the house. Seemed like a great thing to repurpose for. And this is a runaround track. I also use it as kind of a mini storage switching area to support the BH transfer. Again, giving a little bit more operating interest. Then we come through here. I'm going to show you the original 12 inches of this 22-foot section. We come across the substation and that water tower, which is really a scene block. But this comes into Southern Chip, where this too is a real industry served by the Sandersville Railroad. However, I did some kit bashing and a little bit of free license here to create it, to give a feel for a wood chip operation. It's not how the real Southern Chip operates. That is something I'm going to have to try to figure out how I can actually model that. But I also put in a spur here so that in addition to the wood chips, we can also do the pulpwood, that they use to chip up. Now the real industry gets their wood via truck, but this gave me the opportunity to have another kind of car and some more operating interest. It can hold 3 full or empty wood chip cars and then 3 full or empty pulpwood cars. All right, then as we continue to run down the road here, we come to Fowler Flemister Concrete. This is a real industry served by the Sandersville Railroad. However, I have modeled it a little bit different. It can take 3 empty hoppers that they fill, and then back here at the end of this line, or the end of the spur, I have a spot where we bring in fracking sand, and then that's transloaded into trucks. So that one would come in full. Operating through here, staying at the back, we've got Trojan Battery. That is a non-rail served industry, but I thought that warehouse gave a nice visual appearance. Also gave me the ability to have some trucks and trailers showing up, which is always something that we need on the layouts, right? And then up here in the foreground, this is a fictitious facility, and I call it the team track. Gives me the opportunity to have a little bit more diverse rolling stock out there. This is where I can bring in box cars, tank cars, hoppers, lumber loads, whatever we need to do here. And then in the back of this 5-foot section is where Duraline is. That again is another rail served industry by the Sandersville Railroad. That's a plastic manufacturer. It can take up to 3 covered hoppers, and that crosses Beck Street here, which in the real Sandersville, Georgia, is a street that runs right between a whole bunch of kaolin plants. It's not quite this big, but it is what I put it as. And then we come into a 6-foot peninsula, which is where I modeled Cayman. All right, Cayman again is another kaolin facility. And this particular kaolin facility, I'm modeling the slurry portion of it. This is a monstrous facility. So this little 16 inches by 6 feet doesn't really give it justice, but it's all the space that I have. And again, this is where we switch out slurry operations. The track to the far right there is for off spots. The second track has 1 slurry fill, and then also that's where I put chemical cars in, which is part of the manufacturing process, so they'll come in full. And then this second track is another fill station for slurry. It can hold up to 3 cars. And then this track in the foreground where the caboose is, that is really where I use to start the whole switching operations. I also use this track to represent going to a fictitious connection with the CX in Sparta, Georgia. So overall, that's how the Sandersville Railroad operates. I appreciate you guys watching. It's been a great time making these videos, documenting the switching. I've had a lot of fun. I appreciate all the comments, the words of wisdom, the words of encouragement that everybody's given in the comments. Thank you so much. We're at 600 subscribers. I never thought that we'd get that big. I do appreciate everybody. Thank you. I know that you have an opportunity and you have alternate options to watch. So thank you for watching the My Sandersville Railroad, and have a great rest of your day.